Welcome to this Excel tutorial on normal and nested if statements. Before we get into Excel, I want to give you a brief overview of if-then statements and then talk a little bit more about the nested if statements. So a normal if statement works like this. We're going to have some sort of condition, and then that condition can be either true or false. So we have two outcomes, one condition, two outcomes. Our first example, if an apple is red and it's that condition, apple equals red, is true, we're going to keep it. So that would be scenario 1. Scenario 2 is apple is not red, so it is false. So we're going to throw it away. Another basic example, if an apple is smaller than a tangerine, we're going to let it grow. But if an apple is not smaller than the tangerine, we're going to pick it off the tree. So again, one condition, two scenarios. With a nested statement, we're going to have two conditions with three scenarios. So we're going to have it broken down into three scenarios. If both statements are true, we're going to have scenario 1. So if this condition is true and if this condition is true, we're going to do scenario 1. The second scenario, one truth and one false. So if this is true and this is false, we're going to do scenario 2. And scenario 3 is if this is false, we're going to skip all this middle stuff and go right to 3. So if this is false, 3. And going back to our apple example, if the apple is green and it is bigger than a tangerine, we're going to pick it off the tree. So our one condition is apple is green and bigger than a tangerine, we're going to pick it off the tree. However, if the apple is green, but it's not bigger than a tangerine, so if this is true, the apple is green, and this is false, so it's not bigger than a tangerine, we're going to do number 2, which is let it grow. And if the apple is not green, we're just going to throw it away. So if this is false, we're going to skip right to 3. Now, this becomes incredibly useful in understanding nested if statements. You could have potentially 7 or more if statements, and that would give you 8 or more outcomes. In this example, we're only going to go through a nested statement, so there's going to be 2 if statements, so 2 conditions with 3 outcomes. But once you learn the basic concept, you're going to be able to expand. And I have this sales report here, and I'm going to give a bonus to my employees based on whether they're full-time or part-time. So if they're a full-time employee, FTE, they're going to get a 20% bonus based on their gross sales. And if they're part-time, they're only going to get 10%. So we have the condition. If an employee is full-time, and that's true, they get a 20% bonus. Otherwise, they get 10%. So let's go ahead and type this if statement up. So equals if. And as you see here, logic, value if true, value if false. This is your condition. These are your 2 outcomes. So if the employee status is equal to, now we can do either parentheses quotations like this, or in this case I'm just going to do equal to this. So if their employment is equal to full-time, we're going to calculate their percentage based on gross sales. Otherwise, we're going to just assume that they're part-time and base it on 10%. And enter and drag it down. So that's a basic if statement. Now we're going to change it up a little, and we're going to do a nested if statement. So I want to know, or excuse me, we're going to look at it this way. If an employee is full-time and they made over $10,000 in sales, not only do they get a 20% bonus, but I want to give them a $1,000 cash bonus. So we have 2 conditions here. The employee has to be full-time, and they have to generate more than $10,000 in revenue. If these two conditions are true, they get a 20% bonus plus $1,000 cash. Now, if the employee is full-time but they don't exceed $10,000 in sales, they'll get their normal $20,000 bonus, excuse me. And if the employee is not full-time, we're just going to leave it at 10%. So let's go ahead and start this conditional statement. So if we're going to start the same way we did before. So if the employee is equal to full-time, comma, if. So this is like saying comma and if. So and if their sales is over, we'll just type in 10,000. So if these two conditions are true, we're going to take their bonus and add $10,000 cash to it. If they are full-time and this second statement is not true, they're just going to get their normal bonus. Close the parenthesis, comma, and then value of false. So if they are not full-time, they're just going to get their normal bonus again. Because we already have it calculated here. And I'll show you how to do it. We can do it a long way as well. So if I really didn't want this bonus column here, that would be totally fine too. Let's drag it all the way down. And it looks like there is 3 employees that made over 10,000 that were full-time. There's a few that were full-time that did not make over, and as you can see, their bonus plus cash bonus is exactly the same. This employee was part-time, and so they just got their normal 10%. Now let's assume that this middle column was not here. We would have to calculate it. It would be a little longer to calculate, but we can do it the same way. So if full-time is equal to full-time, and if their sales were greater than 10,000, then we would just take sales. We're going to have to put a parenthesis here. Multiplied by that 20% plus cash bonus, comma. So if this first value is true, so if they are full-time, but this second value is false, they did not make more than 10,000, they're going to just take their gross sales multiplied by 20%. And we're going to close this parenthesis out. See, we just close this if statement, and then we're going to do a comma. And if this is not equal to full-time employee, what we're going to do is just take our gross sales multiplied by 10%. Close it out. And as you can see, these same 3 employees are the only ones that got the $1,000 bonus.